Welcome to the Talking Transformation podcast Bulletin. As we head towards the end of the year and the festive season at a rapid rate, this November month has seen us being fairly light on content and episodes after a generally busy first 4 months of the podcast formation. We did celebrate a fascinating insight into the housing market here in South Africa. And if you haven't had a chance to check out our episode with Ilana Melzer and Kessia Rust, supported by Kathy Stone, I really advise you to go and check out episode 14, which talks about the whole question of the lower end affordable housing market and some of the innovation and technology, things like blockchain and whatever that are starting to enter into that space. Really exciting space to watch. And we've got a lot of recorded material from my UK travels, which may in future find its way onto the podcast, perhaps in the new year. Things, however, have been very busy behind the scenes. Most importantly, we have successfully and finally concluded our logistics with our collaboration and what we're going to call our live FutureCast event in January 2020 with the Society of Architects, Planners, Engineers, the society that is collectively known as APES+. The APES+ committee, Ron Hayden and his team have been very kind to give us, as the Talking Transformation podcast, a chance to collaborate with them with a view to bringing you 5 very different voices from the Built Environment Committee, looking back on what happened during the course of 2019 and looking forward to the remaining 11 months of 2020. What was good, what was bad during the last year, and what do we see coming on the horizon? What is it we should be preparing ourselves for, and how do we start to have a series of conversations that help bring communities closer together? What are the questions we should be asking of each other, and how do we start to contribute within our different and respective roles to make the country a better place going forward into the future. We're inviting you, our listeners, as well as the members of the different societies that are comprise the APES+ Society. We're inviting you to join us as part of the audience that night to give your own inputs and reflections and take the opportunities to draw on the expertise and the perspectives of the panel. I'm delighted to announce the 5 panel members who've committed to addressing and supporting us on that night. In no particular order, Professor Francois Viruly from the Urban Real Estate Unit at the University of Cape Town. Francois will be very familiar to those of you who deal with the property field. He's often heard on the radio as well as the other media outlets giving perspectives on where we're going in terms of the property market, commercial sector, the industrial sector. Next up, we have Barbara Southworth, the director with GAPP Architects and Urban Designers. Barbara is very well known within the Cape Town area, Western Cape region, having worked for the city of Cape Town for many years, and in more recent times contributing within the private sector based here in Cape Town. Jodi Allemeier is one of the young talents rising through the Western Cape region right now. Presently, she's a senior manager within the PwC at South Africa. She has studied overseas in recent times. Over the last 5 years or so, Jodi has played a major role in the Western Cape Economic Development Partnership. And her role on that night will be to think towards the future, the role of the dreamer, if you like. Elizabeth Vargesi is a City of Cape Town graduate intern. She studied up in Pretoria and has recently concluded, or will have concluded, a 1-year internship with the City of Cape Town, where her experience of understanding a big organisation like that as a recent graduate will make for, I think, very interesting listening, as well as how it's formed her perspectives of big organisations and the real world of planning and politics. Last but by no means least, Mandisa Shandu, the director of Endofuna Kwazi, is going to be providing us with the perspective of the non-governmental organisation, or the NGO, specifically the activist angle. Anybody who's been involved or listening to the built environment discussions over the last few years would recognise the voice that Endofuna and Kwazi have put forward, particularly here in the Western Cape. They have a passion and a voice that is trying to represent the lower income communities of our cities, and I think her inputs that night in particular from Mandisa are going to make for compelling listening. So there you have it, 5 different perspectives: the academic's perspective, the experienced professional, the dreamer or the futurist, the newbie, the new kid on the block, and finally the activist. 5 different opinions, 5 different thoughts on what was good, what was bad during the course of 2019, and what's coming and what do we need to watch out for, what worries, what excites each of those individuals. We're inviting you to come and join us, be part of that. You can register via membership at CIFA, that's cifa.org.za. That will secure you your space. We have managed to keep the admission down to 50 Rand for general admission, and if you're a student, admission on the night is free, but you will need to RSVP. Again, membership at cifa.org.za will secure you a space on that evening. A reminder of the date, it will be the 22nd of January 2020. It'll be a 5:30 for 6 o'clock start, and the venue is the CIFA, that's the Cape Institute for Architects House on 71 Hout Street, Cape Town CBD. Our intention is to record the proceedings that evening and put the final sort of edited version out for a podcast shortly after that date. Again, I need to thank Ron Hayden and his committee at APES Plus for allowing us to keep the entry to that minimal 50 Rand for general and the free for students. We really appreciate that. This is clearly trying something different. If you have listened to the Bulletin during the last month, you'll have heard me talking about this, but there were still some details we needed to fine tune, and some of the participants have in terms of changed, or we've brought in some new voices to make it a more rounded perspective on the evening. We're hoping for a large and enthusiastic audience to support our expert panel, and again we'd encourage you to RSVP on that first come first served basis. It really makes for an exciting evening, and I would appeal to you, do it and do it now. What else have we been up to? Well, the other issue in partnership and collaboration we've been involved with the last week or two has been partnering up with the Urban Knowledge Exchange Southern Africa, that's UKESA for short, with a view to hosting some of the supporting material and the content that we've generated here on the podcast on their platform. You can check them out at ukesa.info, that's ukesa.info. If you go there now and have a look, you'll see Talking Transformations right there on their front page. Very kindly, Mark Napier and the team there have offered to host some of our material, including the digital flyers, some of the documents that are associated with it, as well as links to some of our SurveyMonkey questionnaires that we're putting out from time to time. Yeah, we're really thankful to Mark and his team there at UKESA. We've really given up on trying to develop a website for the podcast at this stage. So the idea of having a place that we can put our material, put the supporting documentation during different episodes on one platform is really, really helpful. And I think you're going to find a lot of benefit as the listener in the longer term. What's also nice about the platform there at UKESA is the opportunity to leave comments on the podcast, on the episodes, etc. Very few people have taken up the opportunity that we talk of in each of the episodes about leaving a voice message. Maybe it's just too much technology, or perhaps it's just people being shy. Either way, one of the issues has been to try and solicit feedback to make sure that we understand what people are thinking. Is the material that we're presenting, is it relevant? Are people agreeing with what's been put out, or is there an alternative opinion? So certainly there'll be an opportunity to leave a more conventional text message via this UKESA platform. We have one more planned episode for the end of the year, after which time we'll be taking a short festive break together with the rest of South Africa, I guess. On our return, there's plenty. We have at least 4 episodes lined up, or guests who will provide content and support ranging from things like social housing, whole question of infrastructure and the cost of infrastructure as a growth management tool. The homeless angle is one we've been wanting to do for some time. Logistics have prevented us from doing that, but we will be touching on that critical issue within our cities, the question of homelessness, also in the new year. So there's plenty that's lined up. It's more a question now of taking stock, getting ready for the new year 2020, looking forward to January the 22nd and that event happening with APES Plus at the CIFA House. I've been absolutely overwhelmed by the support that we've received this last few months. This started off as a bit of a hobby horse. It's become a fairly all-consuming process outside of my own work time. The last hit was about 1,800 people have listened to the different podcasts. We've been able to put out 14 already this year. The 15th will be recorded, as I say, next week. Should be out before the second week of December. And I just want to take this opportunity to thank everybody who's had the time and the effort in support of the Talking Transformation podcast, whether it was coming on and chatting to us during the course of the last 5 months, or whether it was as a listener or a contributor by passing the message on to your colleagues, to your community, around saying perhaps there's another way of thinking about some of these things over and above the usual articles and so forth. Trying to get us out there, get us on your mobile phones, get us on the PCs, people listening when opportunity presents itself. So thank you so much to all of you who've taken the time and the effort. It means a great deal. Please keep supporting us, and we look forward to seeing you in 2020. Wishing you, our listener, in the meantime, all the very best in the run-up to the festive period, and we will speak to you in the new year.